Good morning, everybody. Good morning, it's me, Mitch. Out here in the glorious sunlight. Yes, out of the dungeon and the coffee shop this morning. Back where I really enjoy doing these things. So welcome. It's a little chilly, but welcome to sunny Florida. And welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. As usual, my friends, drink it if you got it. Enjoy the music. Position everything just right, yes. Good to see everybody here this morning at 10 a.m. The good news is the difference between the temperature here at 10 a.m. and what it was at 8 o'clock is significant, especially in the sunroom here. So it became warm enough for me to do this outside, and hopefully for the next couple of days I'll be able to do the same till it cools down again over the weekend. So I love it. Makes me happy. I don't know. Brightens up my day. I guess the sun might just do that. How's everybody this morning? Good to see you. Thanks everybody that came to the live stream last night. It was a wow, this microphone's making a lot of noise here. Towards the end there, I was burning out. I'm telling you, I was fading fast. It was a long day yesterday, and it's a long day, and it caught up with me around 10 o'clock. And thank you for sticking in there with me. I hope it was interesting. It was a kind of a strange stream. I didn't bring a panel in. Didn't get a whole lot of questions. So just basically rambling for a couple hours. I don't think it was my greatest show, but I think we did okay. We talked about some interesting things, and I'm glad you were all there. And as of this morning, amazingly enough, evidently I didn't do a thing that wasn't okay with the advertisers. They didn't demonetize it, and that was the reason I didn't bring a panel in last night. So interestingly enough, wow. And then what I'm going to do on Saturday at 3 p.m. in the afternoon is I am going to bring the panel in and see if that's what it is. I don't know why they demonetize those things. Of course, tomorrow night we have our private community live stream, which isn't, who could care? I don't monetize it. I don't worry about advertisers. We can do and say anything we want. It doesn't matter. So we'll be here for that, for those of you in the private community. And we have fun. Oh, let me, before I have some things on my show notes this morning to talk about. But before we get into that, let me just quickly run down the chat. It is 10 o'clock, but I'm really in no rush this morning if you are not. Let me take a quick look over on Rumble and make sure that I'm live on Rumble and live on YouTube as well. Yes, YouTube is working, and I always have to refresh the browser where Rumble is to see if it's live. And it is. I am live, and I have Mike Seeley Sr. first this morning in the chat. It says, good morning all from sunny and a little chilly Melbourne. It was chilly this morning. And Mike Seeley from Tampa, United Carnivore. Good to see you guys over there in Rumble. And first one in last night. Of course, I couldn't create this stream until after the live stream last night. I created it after 10 o'clock. And B81 Mac, first in, says first, see all in, 10 and a half hours. And then it reminded me that it's not BB1 Mac, it's B81 Mac. And I think I catch that most of the time now that I realized I was saying his name wrong all of this time. Pearl Grandmas checked in late at night. Lady June checked in. Tuka from Finland checked in around midnight here, our time. Anna Kurzawa checked in at 1 o'clock in the morning. Duggar was here. Duggar was here at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the Insomniacs continue. Lynn Gerber, 4 o'clock in the morning. And 4:30, Sandy Blythe. Close to 5 o'clock, Michael Pregler. Peter rolled out of bed at 6 this morning. Hiya, Peter, how you doing? Granny Boo, too. Both of the Sealy boys. Cliff Medina checked in. And Wayne Harmon, good morning, Wayne. Happy Wednesday morning to everybody. Mike Sealy Jr. from Tampa. Patty Molden, good morning. Rick from Miami, how you doing? Quack time comes later today. Yes, it does. Only on Wednesdays. Smoothie 420. 5 degrees. Whoa. Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee, and right at 8 o'clock. Steve Studley, but we still got 2 hours before we started. So I'm going to try to breeze through this. CB from Alabama, good morning to you. Chris, Life After Carbs. Chris says, good morning. I just made the Electrolyte Mitch mix talked about in a recent video. It was incredibly easy. We'll save a lot of money after buying electrolytes for a year and a half. Yes. And they work great for me. As long as I keep taking them, I get no cramps, and I'm sure overall I feel better. Everything works better. Gregory Smith, hi Greg, how you doing? Probably out there on the road delivering shoes. Somewhere in Kentucky, I think, for Amazon. I checked in because I saw so many people here early, and I know I put 10 o'clock on the thumbnail, but some people are just in the habit of getting up, and this is what they do, tune in, and it tickles me to death to see that. Drinking my coffee out of the Mark Whistler Kenny cup this morning. One of my favorite cups. Bob Black chimed in this morning. Good morning, Bob. How you doing? And we're going to keep going. Tanya, Kitchen Witch, and Scott Evans checked in at 8:22. Hope this doesn't bore you, but I like to acknowledge everybody's presence here. Try to get it out of the way quickly. I'll stop now and say if you have any questions, and I hope you do, don't forget 3 capital Q's in the chat. And I have been doing pretty good lately and basically seeming to get to most of them. I don't think I missed too many. Scott Evans says, I went to the doctor yesterday. My A1C is now 6.0. When I started carnivore, it was 8.4 6 months ago. Hey, wait, that is great. Great news. Great news. And of course, your doctor just can't bring himself to admit that maybe type 2 diabetes is reversible. No, all we can do is treat it. All we can do is make the recipes for Apple Crisp on the American Diabetes Association website and try to keep your A1C around 7 and just keep increasing your insulin until it kills you. Very sad, very sad. Joseph Stevens, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Gary Arzamandi. Sorry, Gary. I'm trying to rush through this. From California, good to see you. Good to see you up early. Princess Mama's here. Hiya, Princess. How you doing? Says poor Mitch, having to do too much to catch up on. Deborah Miller says, I'll be back. Thank you, Deborah. I'm sure you will. And Aunt B chimed in. How you doing? Here's a question from Steve Studley at 9:06. Hi, Steve. How much sleep do people need? Thank you. Wow. Anywhere between 2 hours and 24 hours, I would say. There's no set answer to that. Everybody's different. Everybody has different sleep patterns. It all depends on your individual metabolism. It depends on how well you sleep, whether you get into REM sleep or you're a light sleeper, how many times you wake up in the night. It just depends on so many variables. Donald Trump, I think, gets by and has been getting by 3-4 hours tops every night. The guy is like an Energizer bunny. The older you get, they say, the less sleep you need. Most young people, teenagers, college students seem to need 10, 11 hours. They're napping all the time. Some people need to catch up on a nap every day, but there is absolutely no, I don't think, normal. I think the closest you can come is saying that for the average person, 6 to 8 hours is probably optimal. I fall into that category. Sometimes I end up with 5 hours of sleep. I never feel it, though. But normally I sleep about 6 hours. I normally am asleep by 11 at the latest, and I'm up by 5 at the latest. So if I get a solid 6 hours, I feel great. I feel great. If I get 5 hours, I still feel great. If I get 4 hours, like I did the other night, and on the live stream last night, around 10 o'clock, I start to run out of juice. But I think that's probably a sane answer to that question. Ribeye Susie, how you doing? Good morning to you. Retired Rick Wanda Girling is here with us. Good to see you. Everyone, we have sunshine for the third straight day. Good. We're supposed to have 2 or 3 days of nice weather here. That's why I plan on doing it outside here. Maybe if it's warm enough, I'll do the private community stream from out here tomorrow night as well. Harry Dion, good morning to you. William McCartney, we are sneaking up on it at 9:30. Sandy Blythe, Bryce Hatch, Princess Mom was back. Tammy Batarch chimed in. Good to see you. Tina Schweikerath, good morning, Tina. Don Galasco, how you doing? Hope you're all well today, he says. And at 9:56, coming up on the bell, we have Lori. Good morning, Lori. How you doing? And you're a Mitch fit. Ah, that's great. I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe later today or tomorrow get that T-shirt designed with the Mitch fit logo that Tanya's husband did for us. I think it's great. We'll put it in the merch store and see if anybody has the guts to run around in public with that shirt on. I know I will. That's for damn sure. I'll wear it proudly. Terry Sue, good morning. Retired Rick is back. Sandy Blythe, Dixie Scott, Don Shanger, all just seconds too early. Ketra Naylor, good morning, Mitch and all. Was watching. Oh, you thought my stream last night was very informative. Thank you. Appreciate that. Gary, no slow, how you doing? 9:59, overslept. What did I miss? You missed nothing because it just started. And the winner this morning, ding, 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 is Eve Puckett. Good morning, right at 10 o'clock on the bell. Followed shortly thereafter by Crypto Mechanic and Tom in Tampa, Viking 442. Rob Autry, close but no cigar this morning, my friend. But you take it at least half the time. Cat was here. B81 Mac was here. Lori chimed in at 10. Carnivore Pit. Hi, old guy. Hi, Carnivore Pit. Don't recognize that name. Welcome. Mama Bear chimed in at 10. And the retired fat guy, it's Paul. Hey, Paul, how you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Good to see you. And also at 10, Carnivorous. Cat Mom. Yeah, Robbie was back again at 10. Holy cow. Lori was back again at 10. Claudia Burkick is here. And Claudia was the last one at 10 o'clock. And Sammy Shuford starts off the 10:01 hour with the first text. And that is the early birds for this morning. Great to see you. Great to see you all. Somebody has bought me a coffee this morning. Tanya, thank you so much, Tanya. Tanya bought me 3 coffees this morning. Say hi to the Mitch, God, easy for you to say, Mitch. Say hi to the Mitch for me, old wise one. Tanya says hi, everybody. Tanya says hi. Thank you so much, Tanya. And thank you for reminding me, lest I forget. Let me reach over here and put that link in the chat and get the shameless plug out of the way right off the bat. There it is. It's how I do this, guys. If you like what I do, if you're helping, if you're enjoying these things, you don't have to do it every day, but every once in a while, it really helps, and I really appreciate it. And hopefully one day, this thing will grow to the point where the revenues I get from Google and Amazon will negate me having to put that Buy Me a Coffee link. But as it is right now, it's the way that I can keep doing it. It makes it possible. And that's thanks to you, and I never forget it. Okay, enough about that. Before I get on with the chat, looking for questions, let me go over my little show notes for today. Have another sip of coffee. And before I go into the show notes, seeing as I'm outside, something I've missed doing, hopefully it won't scare any of you away, but yes, little happy music, a little happy music. And you'll excuse me for a second while I light up my cigar. Yes. Robbie Audrey says, light that cigar up, Mitch. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for your patience. Oh, some old guy actually enjoys himself. Be kind to the elderly, my friends. Some of you are already elderly, and surely every one of you will become one someday, and you'll appreciate it as much as I do. All right. Show notes. Okay. Got the link, coffee link question before the QQQ, before a question in the chat. Once again, 2 weeks from yesterday, on January the 28th, a meetup in Melbourne. I guess it's on. I've had some RSVPs. People are coming. We're going to do it. 11:30 a.m., Melbourne, Florida, at the Brazilian Steakhouse. If you think you might want to come, we have a great time. You pay for your lunch, that's it. I heard yesterday that Kelsey's doing a meetup, and they're charging $125 admission. I didn't check it out. But I did get an email from a couple that has come to a couple of our meetups already, and she mentioned that. I don't know if she misunderstood it. I don't know what they're doing. I don't particularly follow. I do my own thing, and my own thing is I wouldn't dare charge admission for somebody to come and have lunch with me. Yeah, buy your own lunch, because I can't afford to buy you all lunch. If I could, I would. I'd invite you all for a party, but I can't, and but I'm certainly not going to make anybody pay for my time to come have lunch with me. And I don't know. I think maybe there's a misunderstanding there because I know Kelsey. He's the most generous guy I ever met. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe I'll find out. This afternoon, we got believe it or not, a Starship. Elon Musk is sending up Starship number 7. Those things are always monumental because they're advancing the space program like nobody's business. I think our government and NASA should kind of, if they're not already, figuring out how come Elon Musk can do all of this and all that other stuff he's doing when you guys can't even get back to the moon. I don't know. We talked a lot yesterday and the day before about oxalates. And I've been looking at Sally Norton's book a little more. I have been really doing a kind of a deep dive into the problems that they cause. It's an enormous problem. And I didn't want to go over all that again, but I did want to say something that I think might be important. There is a disconnect, however. The oxalates are not a carnivore thing, and not a carnivore thing exclusively. They're a vegetarian and plant-based diet thing. So they apply to pretty much everybody. And of course, the carnivores, we're the only ones that completely eliminate them with a zero oxalate diet. And the only thing we need to concern ourselves with is that we don't overdo it or we don't get too much oxalate dumping too soon. And that is very, very important because in some cases it can be very harmful. And sometimes, like some other things that are bad, you got to wean off of them. And in that respect, there's some great information in that book of hers. But she also covers that in her interviews and everything else. And it's very important. But I think it's more important for everybody but carnivores. So I don't want to belabor it too much. But one thing that crossed my mind as I was thinking about all this stuff was we focus on eliminating grains, sugars, seed oils, and I always separate grains and sugars because a lot of people don't think of grains as sugars. All carbohydrates are sugars. They all break down to sugars, different types of sugars, glucose, fructose, galactose, but they still break down to sugars. So that bagel is sugar. That pasta is sugar. Those veggies are sugar. Potatoes are sugars. All that stuff, even broccoli, other than the fiber, is sugar. So we focus on the detrimental effects of sugar, how the glucose molecules damage our LDL and lipoproteins, how they glom onto red blood cells, making our A1C go up, hindering the ability of the red blood cells to do their job, causing diabetes. We focus on those as the major problems. And we keep talking about these things as major problems. We talk about eliminating sugars, seed oils, and grains. I'm beginning to believe that we should include oxalates at that level of concern. Maybe looking at the damage and the prevalence of oxalates in what has become the human diet in general in this world, maybe we need to elevate oxalate awareness up to at least the level and maybe even above the level of our awareness of the damage that sugars and seed oils do. Just a thought. Don't hear a lot of talk about it. It's kind of like the stepsister of problems, that you don't see very often. But I think it is It is a real problem when you finally learn about the damage that it's doing. And maybe some of the things that we attribute to sugars and seed oils are really oxalate-caused damage. So once again, my friends, the rest of the world, I think, should take notice. Whether they will or not, probably not. But we can rest easy as carnivores knowing that not only have we taken notice, but we are doing everything that's humanly possible to eliminate that major problem by being carnivore and having a zero oxalate diet. And maybe that's a reason we haven't been crediting enough for some of the miraculous health improvements that we have. Maybe by eliminating the oxalates without even thinking about it, just because we eliminate the plants, maybe that accounts for a tremendous amount of the benefit that we get being a carnivore. And proves to me again that carnivore is the right thing. And it's the right thing because it's the way our ancestors did it. They didn't have to worry about oxalates. They had very little plant material to eat and ate it only in times of famine from meat and that other stuff. And there are no oxalates in meat, just like there are no other poisonous compounds in meat. So be happy about that. Be happy. You've solved a problem you didn't even know you had, most people, and probably accounts for why we feel so good. I think that's an important point to think about. I know I think a lot about that kind of stuff. Oh, our friend Sher Morgan has burned the hell out of her foot. She accidentally spilled the contents of a pressure cooker, an Instant Pot pressure cooker, including liquid and fat from a ribeye, on her leg and foot. She made a video. I watched that video this morning. It made me cringe. She's a brave woman, and I don't know if she's watching yet because she's in California, but I know she watches the replay. So, Sherry, I just want to say you're a trooper. My God, the fortitude that woman has. She went and did her handstand challenge with a burned foot like that, and she showed some pictures of how that thing had blistered up. Oh, it looked horrible. But she just keeps on going. She keeps on going with a great attitude, and you got to admire the hell out of her. She's a good friend to this channel, and I want to wish you, Sherry, a speedy recovery. And as healthy as you are, I'm sure that your healing will be faster than any other person who might have spilled something like that on their leg and foot. So get better quick. Keep on going. You have my admiration. Wow. Wow. I got something funny that I want to show you. My son sent me this morning. Let me pull it up. Got the sun right in my eyes up here, but I can find it. Here it is. Yes, yes. And I'm going to show you this. It's a meme my son sent me. I thought it was funny. And it says, steak is better than that guy/girl who said they would die for you. Steak actually did die for you. Steak's love is real. And there's a heart-shaped steak. I thought that was cute. I did want to share that with you this morning. So thanks to my son for sending me that. Thank you so much. And wow. I can hardly see the top of this thing. Yes. I think I have one more thing on my list here. Oh yeah, okay. I got an email this morning. And this itchy nose. Sorry, guys. And this from a fella named, let me pull it up here so I can read it to you while we're on this. He says, it's from Frank M. And he said, hello, been listening to you for several days and watching your videos for a while. How do I ask a question on the morning coffee, Frank M? So I wrote back, you have to access the live chat during the stream and put 3 capital Qs before the question. And he writes back, thank you, sir, but I can't understand how to access it or even type in my question. So first of all, Frank, I assume you're watching. You said you would be. And it depends on the device. If you're watching it on something like a Roku TV, no, there probably won't be a chatter anyway. You need to be watching on a PC or a cell phone, and the chat will pop up somewhere when you open YouTube up in the PC or cell phone. If you're watching on any other kind of device, chances are you won't be able to get the chat. You got a question, just email it to me. I'll answer it. And you saw this morning how fast I respond to these emails. And then he answered me back, says, thank you, sir, but I can't understand how to access. Oh, no, I already got to that point. And here's the rest of that. I will be listening to you this morning, but what do people do? This is his question. That are on carnivore that have stents. Nobody seems to want to touch this question. Yes. I've been a herbalist, or an herbalist, I think, a herbalist, yeah, for 25 years, and I take nattokinase, and I've been a carnivore for about a year. Okay, if you've been a carnivore for about a year, you've probably figured out already that according to what I've heard from the likes of Ken Berry, Dr. Nadir Ali, who's a carnivore cardiologist, and so many other doctors that I respect, what answer I'm going to give you now is me relaying secondhand information, but nothing that comes from my own personal experience, which is really what I can talk to with authority, because I know it's happened to me. That proves it to me. But since I don't have any stents, I can't tell you that I've had the experience of being carnivore and improving my cardiovascular state. But I can tell you that from what I've heard from these other people, basically the concept and theory goes, there can be nothing in an evolutionarily appropriate diet that is responsible for the human animal evolving to the point it is today without going extinct. There can be nothing in an appropriate diet, which we think carnivore comes the closest to, that can be harmful. So Ken Berry's stock answer is, are you a human? The answer is always, well, yes. Because he gets questions all the time. I have this condition, can I do carnivore? I have that condition, can I do carnivore? And so on. And over time, pretty much every medical condition has been named in a question like that. And he has one stock answer, and I'll just repeat his answer. And that is, are you human? Yes. Then you cannot be harmed by eating the proper human diet, which is ideally all animal-based, but you can tolerate some plants on a keto or ketovore diet with a small amount of those things, limiting the carbs. So I would say that if you've been doing carnivore for a year, regardless of what your doctor says, but you know, I would say you're doing okay. And yes, you can do carnivore with a stent unless there's something special. But what else can you do? How much better can you treat your body? And if your doctor thinks that this is somehow harming your stent, you have to quiz him and say, show me some studies. let me in on your thinking. Don't just tell me your opinion. Tell me how you arrived at that opinion. So, Frank, I hope that helps you out. I hope that answers. And if you want to get into the chat, I appreciate you watching. That's great. If you want to get into the chat, just you can do it on a PC, on a computer, on a Mac, and you'll see it there. You'll see it there to the right of the screen. And you can, and there's a box that says post a comment. You can type whatever you want, and it'll show up. It'll show up in the chat like it does for everybody else. So anyway, that ends the show notes for today. And Frank, I hope that helped you out, my friend. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. What do we got here? 131 people late on a Wednesday morning. Great to see all of you here. So I'm going to start looking for questions now. And saying hi to people that I haven't said hi to. Let's see. Again, but first, I am neglecting something here. I'm outside, guys. I may as well take advantage of this. Cigar puffing makes me read faster. Everybody knows that. Accelerated as well by coffee drinking. Okay, so here we go. Buckle up. Yolanda Perez, how you doing? Aaron, Booby Goats is here. Good to see you. Everybody's saying hi to everybody. Scotter's here. Good morning to you. Marla Kelly, how you doing? Good to see you this morning. Sandy Blythe. You guys are talking to each other. I may have said hi to you. I can usually rack them up in my brain who I've said hi to, and usually remember most of you till at least the end of the stream, which amazes me because short-term memory shouldn't last that long, but somehow it does. Rick is back from Miami. Good to see you. I'm looking for questions. Danny in Boston chimed in. How you doing? Good morning, all. In for a few before I got to do some work. Well, that's not uncommon. Most of us have to do some work. Did I miss Ellen? Because Michael Pregler said, good morning, Ellen. Sandy Blythe says, oh, and everybody's saying good morning to Ellen. So I must have missed Ellen. Yes, I see Ellen all over the chat. Hi, sweetie. How you doing this morning? I hope your doggy CPR class was everything you'd hoped that it would be. Gary Williams. Hey, good morning from Fort Myers. Smelled like I was in L.A. yet. Babcock Ranch did a controlled fire burn. Yeah, wow, those poor people in L.A. Oh, man, they're so screwed up out there. Mitch, just what does demonetize mean? It means that advertising revenue that YouTube pays me, that I get paid once a month on. Not that it's all that much, but that's how YouTubers earn money, from Google. They either get a percentage of the super chats, a percentage of the private community monthly thing, and ad revenue from a video. If you have 100,000 or 200,000 views on a video, you can make a couple $100, but they can, when they demonetize it, they just basically say, it's not either they demonetize it for a copyright claim where somebody says you've used their copyrighted material, and then YouTube diverts your money to that person and you get paid nothing. Or they say it's not suitable for advertising, in which case they don't run the ads after they deem it not suitable, and you don't get paid a dime. So that's what demonetized means. Sometimes YouTube is so upset with people, especially in the political arena, when their political views don't agree with YouTube, with the kids that work at YouTube's, at YouTube, they demonetize the whole channel and just end your participation in what they call the YouTube Partner Program, something many of these people have spent years and years and years. Imagine going to college, working so hard getting a degree, and then because you disagree with the head of the college politically, he says, you know that degree that you got? Never mind. We're taking it back. You don't have a degree anymore. That's what it's like on YouTube. That's the threat every one of us is under, to conform to their so-called community guidelines, which are nothing more than politically motivated ways to censor opinions that don't agree with them or the World Health Organization or any one of these people that are dead wrong 100% of the time. It means the people that are right are censored and live in fear of losing everything they worked so hard for. Which is why I pursue other ways to try to earn some money on YouTube, like the Buy Me a Coffee and the Amazon links that I have, because there's no politics involved in that, and YouTube doesn't have anything to do, Google doesn't have anything to do with the revenues from either Amazon or the Buy Me a Coffee. And that's just a reality that we have to live with. Very few people talk about it. I let you know everything about me, my life, what I go through to do this every day. And I do love it, though. I love it. If I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it. Believe me. Ellen is here. Ellen's saying hi to everybody. Great to see you. Great to see you. And I'm looking for questions. Paul Clark says good morning. Who else is new? Let's see. Where am I? 10:07. Yes, 30 minutes behind. Right where I belong. Right where I belong. I can, however, glance over to my left here and see the current chat and maybe pick out a current question if I see one, but I don't see any questions over there either, so I'll just keep scrolling down here doing this. This is what we do here. Most of this I see in the chat is conversation among people who have made friends here. Ellen is chatting with everybody. Couch potato. Cigar, yes. I think you put that in before I actually lit the cigar, but I did sense that people were thinking cigar. Kind of a connected to the universe kind of thing. And the spirit moved me the first time back then, right about the time that I think after you put that comment in there, to light this cigar. And these things do go out if you neglect them. So I guess wow, I don't have any breeze at all going on in here. Here's one I don't recognize. Spiritual Nomad in the house from work on my earbuds. Welcome, Spiritual Nomad. I think maybe I've seen you before. Carla Simpson's here. How you doing? Sampson. Sorry, Carla. Carla Sampson. Peter's here. Says hi to Ellen. Susan Ivy chimed in. Good morning. Says hi to everyone. Here, I chimed in with my link back then. That's always a reminder to me to repost that. So I will do just that and not even say a word about it. There it goes. And I think, speaking of coffees, I think I heard something on my cell phone. So let me see what happened here. Yes. Ketra bought me 3 coffees. Thank you so much to help with your plumbing. Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. Life's little pleasures. This old house of mine, The plumbing needs to be, I need to have it replumbed. We're going to start Friday or Saturday, and it's not going to be cheap. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you, Ketra. I always appreciate that. And anybody new or any questions? Wow. I'm reading the chat. Paul. Well, I haven't seen Paul in a while. Going back to working part-time. Travel a lot with it. Watch my son's baseball. Stick to the diet if you can, man. Stick to the diet. Wow. Wow. Hey. Question, will you post a link to your electrolyte recipe, please? Yeah, let me look it up here. Just give me a second, and I will go into my YouTube studio and go into content and search for let me pull up this video here and copy the link. It's very hard for me to type on this notebook sitting with the microphone in the way, but I got it. And let me go back to the chat and paste that. Sorry, I'm not any smoother or faster at this, but there is the link to the electrolyte video, and hopefully that'll work for you. You could also just go into YouTube on any video on any subject that I have, like addiction, electrolytes, sous vide, anything, and just do a search in the YouTube search bar, which will search my channel when you're on my channel's main page, and just type, or in any Google search, OldGuyCarnivore electrolytes. I've had a couple of videos about those, and they should all come up. But I'm happy to do that for you to make sure you get to the right video. Eva Puckett, I watched the video. It was great. I have Sally's book. I need to read it. Yeah, you'll find Sally's book. Most of what she says, other than the dangers of oxalates and how to, get off of them and not dump them too fast, doesn't really apply, because the rest of the book is all kinds of information, footnotes, tables, to talk about how to find the best plants that are the lowest in oxalates, which don't apply to carnivores. So any diet advice about of what to eat, she doesn't, I don't think she had carnivore in her radar when she first wrote that book. It was a book like most other diet books, telling people who we assume are going to eat vegetables and plants, which vegetables and plants are the best to eat, information that we could care less about. We don't eat any of them. What a great way to make sure you eliminate the poison by not eating a single thing that contains that poison in any quantity, instead of worrying about trying to figure out how much of this you can eat, how much of that. Well, I can't eat this because it's got 10 times the oxalates of that. I can't eat oranges, but I can drink orange juice. And that's one of the pieces of her advice, to drink orange juice. Well, you and I know that orange juice is the worst thing that we can do. It's concentrated pure sugar, period. Maybe a little vitamin C, which I don't think we need. But the last thing in the world we want to do. So she's saying don't eat the pulp. That's where the oxalates are. You can avoid the pulp by juicing it. The other people are saying don't drink the juice. It's loaded with sugar. That's where the problem is. I say they're both a problem. Whether you eat the pulp, drink the juice, or whatever, don't eat oranges in any form. Be a carnivore. Don't eat things that grow unless you have to. So, in so many respects, her diet plan is irrelevant to us. But her information on the real danger of oxalates and some of the things you need to watch out for if you go carnivore cold turkey and all of a sudden you've been on an extremely high oxalate diet, which everybody is. Because virtually, it seems like every vegetable, with few exceptions, is high in oxalates. People like that who've been doing that for 40 years and their bodies are loaded up with oxalates from their toenails to their eyeballs, maybe we need to be a little wary of the symptoms and some of the dangers of too rapid oxalate dumping. And maybe we might have to wean off of those for 2 weeks or a month as we're moving into carnivore to kind of slow that down a little bit. It's a consideration, something that I think, and I didn't think this last week, but I think it now. I think it's probably be wise for people who are in bad shape from a lifetime of abuse and decide, I'm going to just go cold turkey. Maybe it's a danger they need to watch out for. And we'll probably be talking more about that. Let's see. Questions. Everybody's talking. And Chicken Shanny has a question. Mitch, thank you for everything that you do. Any advice of meats I should focus on my journey with cancer? Well, good luck with the cancer, my friend. And I think the latest research is showing that sugar is the prime nutrient of concern when it comes to what feeds cancer. Although it's no absolute, there's no certainty that depending on the type of cancer, how far along it is, what kind of treatment you're taking, that it'd probably be a good idea not to nix the chemo or the radiation if you need it, and supplement that with no sugar on the side, which couldn't hurt and might help. But the no sugar on the side may not be enough by itself if the thing has advanced so far. I think any meats are probably good, but I think the most nutritious meats are probably going to be the most beneficial. But who knows? Nobody knows for sure. There's been, I don't think, any studies done that show the effectiveness of people with identical cancers over a long period of time, one of them eating this kind of meat and the other eating that kind of meat. Those kind of studies would be impossible to do, possible to get funding for, and they don't exist, and nobody can claim that they do. We're just now starting to learn about the fact that sugar kind of promotes cancers, and it explains why incidences of cancer are rising tremendously with all the other bad health things. And we've pretty well got it figured out now. And I say we, I mean the scientific community that isn't brainwashed, that cancer is at the heart of it a metabolic disorder, and not so much just the result of ingesting carcinogens. And coincidentally, the carcinogens certainly must play a part in it. And coincidentally as well, as Anthony Chaffee points out in his Plants Are Trying to Kill You speech, that a Brussels sprout, I think the number was 110, has 110 different carcinogen compounds in it. Again, there are no carcinogens in animal products. Again, the plants are killing us. They're winning. They're winning. Not only are they trying to kill us, they are killing us and making us sick. And yet, dare I say it, ask anybody about what a healthy diet is, and you get the same answers every time. We have been so programmed. We're like mind-numbed robots. Healthy diet? Well, moderation. Anything in moderation is okay. And a balance. You have to have a balanced diet. But don't eat red meat or animal fat. And if you're going to eat meat, only eat a small quantity of very lean meat. You need to be on a low-fat diet. That's the biggest. That is the one statement that is the most devastating about the conventional diet advice. Low fat. It's the low fat that caused the high carb. You got to get something in you, and there's only fat, protein, and carbohydrates. You don't want to eat too much protein. That's not good for you either. You need the fat. If you take the fat out, there's nothing else to eat but sugar. So, low-fat diet, low salt. No, don't want to eat a lot of salt. Salt causes your high blood pressure, which is wrong. Eat the rainbow. Eat the rainbow. Eat those healthy fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Don't eat white bread. Eat whole wheat bread. Don't eat white rice. Eat brown rice. Again, totally bad advice. The brown rice is full of oxalates. So that's where the oxalates come in, something that we haven't considered. But if you look at the conventional advice, everything that a carnivore is suggested to eat is good for you in reality. High fat, moderate protein, no carbs, no plants. Simple as that. Basically, picture in your mind a caveman eating a mastodon. There you have it, the proper human diet with some survival food thrown in, and its toxicity too in small quantities at times of famine. And that's why we, in our physiology, do have the chemical pathways to detoxify up to a certain amount of all of the bad stuff that our ancestors did ingest from the plants they ate as survival food. And then you got addiction to contend with. So this is why we're at where we are. But I would say, in my best opinion, knowing what I know, that if you follow the fact that red ruminant meat is probably the most nutritious, lean chicken breast is probably the least. That would probably also hold true for treating cancer, because the healthier you are, I think, the more your immune system can do to help fight that as well. The lack of sugar should be a real benefit, but I wish you the best, my friend. I wish you the best. So many of us have so screwed ourselves up. Maybe sometimes there's no road back. That's a shame. But I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. I hope that made sense to you. Thank you. Curry and Mitch, thank you so much for that. Looking for questions. What is Sherry's page? Princess Sherry's website is simply called Sher Morgan, SherMorgan. Just search for that in YouTube, and there's probably more than one, but you'll see her channel icon. Click on that, you'll see all her stuff. Yeah, Ellen says, oh no, Sherry, that's a serious burn. That is a serious burn, but she did, in the video I watched of hers this morning, that blister had all, you know, it looked so bad because when you burn yourself, the top layer of skin forms a blister and it just fills up with fluid. And that looked like it had gone down. That skin on top of that blister, of course, is going to die, and it's going to be a period of recovery where you have to keep it dressed, probably have some Neosporin or some other burn treatment in there until a new outer layer of skin grows and heals. And I know I've had a few nasty burns in my life. And but it will heal. And she'll never do that again. And I can tell you that from experience. The times that I have burned myself royally, I never did that again. One of the lessons. Sometimes when you're cooking, especially what we cooked in our restaurants, in saute pans, you throw, you finish things in the oven. And you throw this hot pan off the stove, you throw it in the oven, and then you put on a glove, or generally in restaurants they use towels. They just use these wipes that they grab the handle of the pan with the wipe rather than putting gloves on and off. Well, they always got to wipe. They call them bar wipes, a towel. And you learn real quick how much towel to wrap around the handle before you grab it. And sometimes, and I've done this, that you'll take a pan out of a 450-degree oven, you'll set it down on the stovetop, and you'll take the food out of it, and then without thinking, with no towel, you'll grab the handle of that pan on the stovetop and burn the crap out of yourself. And I've done that. And you do that a time or two, and you learn. You learn not to do that again. A lot of advice and information flying in both directions, going right by me. I hope it's all correct. Keep in mind anything that you hear from me or any of the other people in here. Could be right, could be wrong. And that includes me too. Me too. Questions. B. Matt checked in. Hey, Matt, how are you, my man? Good to see you. Good to see you. How far behind am I? 27 minutes behind. Yes, screaming closer by a few minutes. Peter, you're very prolific this morning in the chat. And Ellen is very prolific. And when Peter and Ellen are both here, when Peter and Ellen are both here, I've got a lot of friggin' chat to go through. I love it, but it's just a lot of chat. Holy cow, it just keeps going and going and going. Wayne Herman says, did you score any meat at Sam's? I didn't get to Sam's this morning. I really didn't. But, I mean, I could have done this at 8:30 this morning, but I don't want to change up those things. I don't want people to have to guess. Is it 8:30 today? I mean, I was out here. I didn't go. I really don't need anything from Sam's. I have plenty of eggs. I have plenty of everything else. And I just got a call from one of my corporate clients that I do computer work for, and they had a problem, and I got going with him on the phone early this morning, and we solved that problem. And then I said, nah, it's too late to start running to Sam's. So I just came out here instead, made the decision to do the stream outside, and set the studio up so I could sit out here and puff on a cigar. Yes, sir. And have my coffee. I see here that Princess Mom is telling Emma to put QQQ first. So Emma must have asked a question that I missed because it didn't have the QQQ. So I'm going to keep going and see if I do see a question from Emma or another reference to it. Rick says he was lucky he only fixed $100 to fix his plumbing. Yeah, well, that's great. You didn't replumb your whole house, I can imagine, but yeah, it's going to cost me considerably more than $100. It's crazy. Here we go, Carlos Sampson. Anyone else have long COVID and carnivore ends up helping? Can't help you with that. I didn't. Anybody that has had an experience with that, chime in. And if you want to address your comment so that Carla sees it, you use the @ Carla Sampson first, and it will light up on her screen, be highlighted, so she'll see her name pop out. Talking about the California fires. And evidently, Aunt B answered Emma's question. If you increase carbs, you're most likely to cross into the diabetic realm. Carbs are sugar. I'm assuming you are going that direction to lower your cholesterol. You can be, yes. No doubt that when you're burning sugar as your primary fuel, you don't have to traffic as much fat, and your cholesterol levels, they're not cholesterol that's going down. They are the number of lipoprotein particles that carry cholesterol that go down. When you're a fat burner, you're not increasing the total amount of cholesterol in your body at all. You are increasing the amount of VLDL lipoproteins that carry triglycerides, that transport the fat around your body so that you can live without having to rely on glucose. There's so many misunderstandings about cholesterol and its role because of Ansel Keys and his stupid hypothesis that cholesterol clogs your arteries and causes heart disease. And the mix-up in the medical community between the actual cholesterol molecule itself, which is essential for life, essential as a precursor for so many hormones. It is essential to build new cell walls out of. It is essential for brain health and insulating the myelin sheaths between the connections of the neurons. You would die without cholesterol. And the confusion between how the lipoprotein and the transport systems to move all this stuff around your body work, and cholesterol, which is just a substance, neither good nor bad, but necessary. There's no difference in it. The confusion about what LDL, VLDL, ILDL, and HDL are have nothing to do with cholesterol. They have to do with a very complex transport system used to carry fat-soluble compounds around in the blood. Cholesterol has nothing to do with it. And that misconception is propagated every day in every doctor's office, in every city and state in this country and the rest of the world. or I'm wrong. Sometimes when you hear the same thing from everybody and you have a different opinion, you say, well, maybe I'm wrong. I have doubted that my whole life, and I finally understand the intricacies of what's going on. And the reason that eating sugar will drastically lower your lipoprotein count, not your cholesterol, but the lipoprotein count, the little vehicles that carry the fat-soluble vitamins in the blood. The reason that eating a sleeve of Oreos like Nick Norwitz did cut his cholesterol by 70% was that at that point he was prioritizing burning sugar. There was no need to transport fats through the bloodstream. The Randall cycle took care of that, and the cells, each one of those trillion cells, was running on sugar and got its energy from glucose that was dissolved in the blood and didn't need to be carried through the blood by any little vehicle like a lipoprotein. Lipoproteins only carry things that cannot dissolve in water. Glucose dissolves in water. Sugars dissolve in water. Simple sugars. But the minute they're triglycerides, the minute they become a compound and become a fat, they must be carried around the body in a lipoprotein or as a free fatty acid attached to albumin. That's it. That's it. You cannot dissolve them in blood. Why every first-year medical student doesn't understand this like the back of their hand, I don't know. It is the basis of all biochemistry of all living mammals and animals that have red blood. I'm dumbfounded at the misunderstandings. Dumbfounded. And I'll just keep doing it, and I'll keep talking about it until people finally get it. It's not a simple thing to understand. But the last word we should be using when it comes to any of this stuff is the word cholesterol. It's not about the cholesterol. The only time it even becomes about the cholesterol is when you're so screwed up and have so many oxidative products in you that create free radicals and damage everything by oxidating them, or so much sugar constantly in your blood that gloms onto everything, rendering it inoperative, that damages those little lipoprotein boats and causes them to shrink and become damaged. Yes, that is what they call SD-LDL. It's still not damaged cholesterol. It is a damaged little vehicle that carries cholesterol and all of the other fat-soluble necessary things to every cell in our body, without which we would die. And yet, your cholesterol is too high. You need to lower it by eating Oreos. Well, the Oreos does lower it because you don't need to transport fat if you're living on sugar, which is why most unhealthy people, most diabetics, most unhealthy people, most people that have all kinds of conditions and arthritis and everything wrong with them have low cholesterol. And the medical community says, oh, your cholesterol is great, you're a healthy person. And then they're suffering and die. Those of us that have high cholesterol, because we need it, and I say cholesterol too, have high lipoprotein counts, we need them because we're healthy, we're running on fat. We have to traffic all that fat through our bloodstream. That requires a huge fleet of lipoprotein molecules. Our physiology knows how to make them. We make exactly the amount of LDL and HDL and VLDL that we need to accomplish the job. We cannot interfere with that. Only bad things can happen. It's so elegantly simple that nobody understands it. Or I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I wouldn't be pushing 78 years old in the condition I'm in, considering where I was when I was a sugar burner on and off for so many years, and an addict of the highest order. But, man, I may as well be wearing a black armband in society, declaring that, like a medic alert bracelet, look out for an imminent cardiac event, which somehow among us carnivores doesn't seem to happen that often. You don't hear about that. If it was happening, don't you think there'd be 1,000 YouTube videos about carnivores saying, you know, I had a heart attack, I had a heart attack, I had a heart attack, I had a heart attack? It's not happening. And the studies that we've found show that basically the higher your LDL count, when you're a metabolically healthy human being and aren't damaging the piss out of your LDLs and making them small, dense, and damaged LDLs, which are the troublemakers, that you're healthier and your mortality is lower and you live longer and your brain works longer. Eat meat, folks. Eat meat. Carla says bacon cooking ideas. Oh, there's a lot of ways to cook bacon. Emma. Hey, Emma finally asked the question. I am a pre-diabetic, LDL 700. Wow, other lipids normal. Is increasing carbs better than starting statins? I feel stuck between a rock and a hard place. Well, that's hard to say. I can't give you that medical advice. I would say check your LDL again. You might have something, a genetic cause of that called familial hypercholesterolemia. That's easy for me to say. Familial hypercholesterolemia. And people with, they call it FH for short. A welcome acronym. People with FH have long been thought that they'll never make it out of their 30s and 40s. But magically, and this is coming from the results from Dave Feldman and Nick Norwitz and that crew, looking at lean mass hyperresponders, they find in reality that most healthy people who are otherwise healthy that have FH live better than normal, longer than normal lifespans, because it's not the LDL that's causing the problems. It's inflammation and other things of bad health. So I can't tell you exactly, Emma, for you. I wouldn't do either, to tell you the truth. For some reason, your body thinks that it needs to have an LDL at 700. Your doctor's going to scream and yell, but I would be looking for signs of any atherosclerosis or any plaque buildup or calcium or any of that other stuff, because who cares what your LDL is if your arteries are squeaky clean inside? Your body is smarter than the entire medical community put together. It's been doing its thing for millions of years, and evidently the fact that we're here and alive today is proof that it's been doing what it needed to do when it needed to do it, and making minor adjustments thousands of times a second. I would have your lipids checked a couple more times at different times of the day and see if maybe you got an anomaly there. Maybe the machine in the lab was broken. Has your LDL always been this high? Does your doctor think maybe you have FH? There's so many variables. But nobody can say, is increasing carbs better than statins? Nick Norwitz, in his test, shows that increasing carbs was a way, way more effective way of lowering LDL than statins, with no side effects other than triggering addictions and getting fat and sick. That's what sugar does for you. I think that If it was me, and my LDL is in the 400s, so I'm not far behind you, I revel in that number. That number proves to me that, because I know what's going on in my body, that I am living on fat, that, and I'm not clogging up my arteries, that I feel great, that my brain is working better than most people that get even near my age. And I think I get sharper and think more clearly every day. And my base philosophy of everything is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I can't tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you don't listen to your doctor, because that would be something that somebody could sue me over, or even figure out a way to accuse me of practicing medicine without a license, something I will not do. But I can tell you that the resources are out there and the research is out there, and you have to find a doctor that understands this stuff at least as good as I do, which is a scary thought, isn't it? That no doctor that I've ever met in my life, other than the few that are in the carnivore community, understand what's going on, as well as I have learned it after years and years and years and years of reading and research, logic and common sense thinking, systems analysis, something I do great in technology and computer programming, making things make sense, separating the things that are impossible from the possible. And find a doctor who's a critical thinker and put it to him that maybe you have genetic FH, and let's find out if that high LDL is actually doing any harm, or does my body need it to be there for optimum health. That might actually be the reality of the situation, and any attempt to lower it would only make things worse. Nobody ever considers that when they think about high LDL. Well, maybe if I lower it, I'll be doing myself some harm instead, because my body wants it right where it is. There's a reason why it's at that level. Let's see if we can figure that out, and then we have a chance of understanding what's going on. Just arbitrarily saying cholesterol is bad. Sorry. I'm not buying that crap. Hope that answered that question. It didn't scare you to death. Maybe it gave you a little hope. But you do need to investigate it, Carla. It's a great question. A great question. And don't think you got the highest cholesterol I've ever heard of. And I keep calling it cholesterol. We're so used to that. It's not cholesterol. It's LDL. That caused me to go a little further behind. Well, not too bad. Yeah, still behind. Dan Galasco chimed in, Emma, and everybody's going to give you advice. Everybody's going to give you advice, Emma, about that. Be wary, even of my advice. What I just told you is reality. There are hundreds of different opinions, and everybody is going to repeat to you the opinion that they heard or figured out from somebody that they consider reliable. I'm different. I disagree with so much that Sean Baker says. I disagree with so much that Ken Berry says. I generally don't get into those disagreements. I don't do it in public, for sure. I respect those guys. And I would expect them to disagree with me. So we all have figured out our own stuff. I just gave you my opinion. So take these things that other people are telling you. Don't just go with the one that you like the best, that you hope would be the truth. because we have a tendency as humans to do that. We hear what we want to hear. No doubt about that. I do too, especially in politics. Yeah. Here's a question from Scotter. Just a comment. I'm 63 and the fear of fat has been pushed and has programmed us for all of my lifetime. Silly. Yes, Scotter. It's all about looking good in a bathing suit. I mean, that's it. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. We all play into the prime drives of human animals, and that is surviving and reproducing. In order to reproduce, you have to attract a mate. In order to attract a mate, you have to be attractive. Hence our preoccupation with looks, cosmetic surgery, and everything else. But it's all basically down in the heart, whether you admit it to yourself or not. It's all triggered by sex drive, which is why all advertising. If they can't scare you into buying it, they put a pretty model in a bikini in front of it. They tell you buy this car, it's a chick magnet, it's a babe magnet. You know, I mean, it all plays into that. And so does our appearance, and so does this being ashamed of being fat, because you know you don't care if you're fat in front of your buddies, but you do feel a little self-conscious in front of a member of the opposite sex. You want them to find you attractive. Even when you get older, even me, that drove me all my life, wanting to look good for the girls. We're superficial in that respect, but that superficiality comes from real instincts and drives that are very important for the survival of the species, and that is reproducing. Question, when do you get your blood test results? They're trickling in, and I'm going to take a look at all of them. I'm not going to talk about them yet until I see all of them, and probably next week, because the vitamin D stuff takes a while. But I don't want to get into one thing without knowing some of the others, because they all interrelate. They all interrelate. What I've seen so far are good, but I'm not going to start talking about it. I do talk about it, and a lot of guys don't. Never heard Sean Baker talk about his blood test results. Never heard Anthony Chafee expose his blood test results. More than likely, because there is something about their lipid metabolism that everybody would think is dramatically wrong with them, and maybe they understand what's going on. I understand what's going on, and why those numbers might seem high or out of the, quote, normal range. I view so many of those numbers as signs of excellent health, but our system and common knowledge is not willing to admit that yet. And if you do put those numbers out there, all of a sudden you get a raft of criticism from everybody that knows nothing. I'm not listening to you anymore. This doesn't work for you. Your blah, blah, blah is blah, 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 that level. And that means you're going to die of a heart attack tomorrow. Why would I? And yet we live on and get healthier and healthier because they don't know what those numbers mean. And some of those numbers have no meaning even no matter where they fall. If you learn how the tests are done and what they're actually measuring, so many of these numbers are just guesses and interpolations of other things. That's why I hate blood tests. I'd rather never get a blood test. I do it out of curiosity, and I don't give a shit what the numbers are. I'm not changing anything. And sometimes sharing those numbers. So you'll find out that the healthiest people on the planet generally don't share their numbers because they know how other people will react, because those other people know nothing. And I'm passionate about that. Speaking of knowing nothing, Princess says, I know nothing about cigars. What do you smoke? I am smoking today some tobacco leaves rolled up with some more tobacco leaves rolled around them. Nothing here but leaves. There are no fillers, paper, chemicals, nothing. So in that respect, it's all natural, which we all know means it's got to be good for me. It's all natural. And I'm being cute. I'm smoking a Perdomo Fresca. Perdomo is the brand name, the factory. Fresca is this particular model of cigar. It's like saying a Chevrolet Malibu. Well, this is a Perdomo Fresca, and it continues on with a description of the type of tobacco in the wrapper and the shape and size of the cigar. So this is a Maduro, M-A-D-U-R-O. That is a dark, rich tobacco leaf, because most of the flavor you get from a cigar basically comes from the tobacco it's wrapped in. And it is called a Toro. A Toro is the name of a shape that it has they have ring gauges, just like your finger does. It's a 52-inch ring gauge by 6 inches long. And that's called a 6 by 52. So this is a Perdomo Fresca Toro Maduro. There you go. Everything you ever wanted to know. More questions. I need to get going here. I need to start running through it, catching up a little bit. But I'm having fun, and oh God, there's this sun. Look at that sun on my face. Look at that. Oh God, does it feel good? Does it feel good? And I still have hot coffee here because of my coffee warmer. Wow, wow, wow. And it's beautiful in here now. It's warming up. We're going to get to a high of like 64 today. So it's not going to be hot or anything. But in this sunroom, when I have the screens all closed, it becomes the kind of thing you get in a hothouse. Even in the winter, you don't let the cold air in and just let the sun in through the windows. It warms up, and it is glorious in here right now. Glorious. It's one of those life is good moments, you know. We don't get enough of, I don't think. Life is good. No pressure. It's great. All right, I'm going to keep going down here. I am kind of glancing at what you guys are saying, but I'm kind of skimming over it. Basically looking for the questions. Scotter says, check out, fat and cholesterol don't cause heart attacks and statins are not the solution. Heavy read, but good book. Yeah, there are books out there that spell it all out. There are people out there that know what's going on. Unfortunately, those books somehow never become #1 on the New York Times bestseller because they are not promoted by anybody except the poor schlub that wrote it. And they get very little help. And usually have to self-publish those things and pay for any promotional stuff. So you're dead before you start. You know, maybe on my books on Amazon, but nobody is promoting it to anybody. And nobody's ever. And Emma says, yeah, funny thing, I felt great when the doc said I was 700. And you probably need it to be 700 for some reason. That's what you need to focus on. Not how to get it lower. But why is it 700, and do I even want to lower it? That's where I would go, because I have faith in human physiology 100 times more than I have faith in the crap that modern medicine tells us. And there's plenty of proof of that. More and more sick people, more earlier and earlier deaths. The average age going down every year instead of up. You'd think with all this miracle medicine we have, people be living longer lifespans instead of the average lifespan shrinking every year by half a year or a year. It's crazy. It's so crazy that I am over the hill now. At 77 and a half years old, I have outlived the average American male. We should be living to 100 easy. We should coast to 100. Just eating good food. Did I make a mistake? Mitch is right, but I was mainly talking about dietary fat. I don't remember what you said, Scotter. But Sherry's here. Hi, Sherry. I presume cooked yesterday ribeyes are better. Yes, ribeyes are better. How you doing, sweetie? I don't know if you heard it or not earlier. I wished you a speedy recovery. I've been keeping up with you. I'm keeping an eye on you, I'm trying to keep you out of trouble, but it's a job. It's a job. And I wish you a very speedy recovery. Very speedy recovery. And I told everybody how much I admired your fortitude and your attitude about how you're actually taking all this. Yeah. I'd probably whine a little more. I'd probably be a big baby if something like that happened to me. Oh, yeah. And have I done it? 11:35. I have gotten down to the bottom of the chat. Unbelievable, Sherry says. Oh, thank you, Mitchell. Check your email, young man. I love it when you call me young man. Let's see here. Check my email. Oh, Sherry bought me a couple of coffees. Thank you, Sherry, so much. Happy Hump Day, Mitch. Sending you love and light from California. Meat Sweats, the official sausage party elixir. Oh, man, that's funny. That's funny. That's funny. I love it. I love it. Wow. And Ketra and Tanya, I acknowledge you got me the coffees. Thank you so much. Gary No Slow has sent me, and I will share this with you. Humor from Gary. Let me get it presented on the screen here where we can see it. And let's see if we can see this here. Hang on a second. That should do it. Yeah, that should do it. And it says, no, it didn't do it. Why didn't it do it? Hang on. Let me come back here. I have it on the screen. Oh, I'm sorry. I took it off the screen. Okay. Now I can do it. There it is. And it says, you should eat meat. The cat says, don't worry, it's plant-based. She says, that's awesome. Which plant? He says, the cat says, the meat processing plant. Oh, yeah. The cat knows it's a carnivore, that's for sure. Cute. Thank you, Gary. Thanks for sending that, sharing that with me. And I think it's time. I think it's time. Got to the bottom of the chat. Let's see. Lori was the last one in. Princess at Air January 10 recently. Okay. And you guys are still chatting back and forth, and everybody's here. Good to see you. Listen, thanks everybody for coming today. Thank you so much. Here's a little happy music for you. I'll relight my cigar, finish my coffee. You can say goodbye to each other. You got 1 minute and a half left. And at the end of the song, we'll call it a day. We'll call it a day. Until tomorrow morning at 8:30. Tomorrow morning at 8:30. Back to normal. And hopefully every morning at 8:30 until next Wednesday. So, you can look forward to, over the weekend, plumbing progress reports. More of the same. Question answering. Happy music. Hopefully I can do it out here. I love it out here. I love it. It's so enlightening. So enlightening. And saying goodbye in the chat, we have Louis 420, Ellen, Ed DLC, Emma, Lori, Sherry Morgan, Claudia Burkitt, Dan Galasco, Roland, Kirk, Aunt B, Aaron, Booby Goats, Rick, Charger Mopar, Anna Kurzawa. Wow, wow, wow. Look at all the people. Dixie Scott says bye. Mike Seeley says have a good day all. Eva Puckett says goodbye. Bob Black says goodbye, everyone. And that's it, my friends. So, with no further ado, smoking my cigar, sun on my face, I will tell you, take the rest of the day off, my friends, and eat meat.